If you're running a construction business out of different spreadsheets, let me show you how you can manage all of this in your monday.com workspace where you have your sales, your project management, finances all connected in one workspace. So in here you have the accounts. This is just a quick dashboard just working you through how this entire thing would look like. So in this account section, it will house all of the parent records. So the client's company itself, you can store all the information in this board. You have the date created, the status, type of clients they are, the points of contact. Then we move on to the contact section. So initially we have the main table listing all the contacts, that's people who work with those accounts. You can see there's a connection linking them to the accounts board, and this is separated by their first name, phone number, the project that you're working on, expected revenue. So this is further broken down by their status. Are they active? Are they inactive? So you can see all of that at a glance in here. Then we move on to the project pipeline. So this project pipeline also links to the account board. For instance, if you're chasing a deal with a particular company in the account section, so it really depends on the construction deal or kind of project that you're chasing. You want to have a separate section where you are sort of highlighting and listing all of that project down. Then you break it down by new projects, projects that are in proposal, projects that you're negotiating, projects that you've won, or projects that are in contract. So you also decide what type of project these are. Then you link them as well to the clients, to the contacts, the clients, the accounts, all of this information, as well as their emails will all show up in this section. So you really don't need to go into different boards to find their email, their phone number, their contact information. You can just also have all of them connected in this workspace. So really depending on who is managing. So for this bit, this is like the number of proposal you have for that particular deal. So sometimes you have new bits that come in, you have the active bits that you're working on. So all of the bits, this bid section is also linked to the product pipeline. You have your bid value, you have the accounts they are related to, the date that this bid was created. You want to record how much the value of this bid. You also want to link it to the contact section because multiple different people might be managing different workspace. Maybe you want to control who sees what, so you can decide to show different bots or give access to different bots to different people. So that's all for sales. Now we'll move on to the project management. So for the project management, this points back to everything that you want to work on. We have like the change orders, the RFIs, the daily log, the tags, all individually linked to the project. So for instance, a new project from this account comes on board. When a bid is immediately won, that automatically becomes a project. Same job. So now this is an actual job. You've won this job. This now becomes a project. There's an automation that creates a new project from the bid here. So the moment that bid is won, it automatically becomes a project. You can track the level of completion. You have your budget. You have your phase timeline. This is also linked to your invoices. If this invoice has been requested, now you can manage the daily log of the project as your team or subcontractors work on them. So if there are change orders for requested projects, you have the option to track these change orders, how much these are costing, if this is because of if this is a change order due to site condition, if it's client request, if it's a design change, really depending on all that. So you can track it directly from this board. So the RFI management, you can track the new RFIs, the open RFIs. So really depends on what you want to be tracking. Is this RFI incoming or outgoing? You want to track the description of your RFIs here. So this just makes it easier for you to control where everything stays. So you're not managing different spreadsheets. You have all of this in one space. Then for your daily log, this is you want to track things like, okay, things that happened at the site. For instance, you could have a form. This form will track the name of the issues encountered, daily encounters like your delay reasons, the work summary. So you can really keep track of everything that goes on at that site location on a day-to-day basis. At the end of the day, whoever is managing the space will come and have all of this. So there's multiple automations that sends out reminders, notifies the team involved, reaches out to those that actually need this information to move on to the next stage. So it also tracks things like when this date was created, how many crew was present, how many hours they spent on the project. And as you can see, this also links to the projects that they are working on. For daily tasks, for instance, you want to track what you want people doing on a day-to-day basis. So if they are like site safety inspection, equipment maintenance, it's going to track all of that here. So depending on how you work in your system, you can decide to track estimated hours linked directly to projects because you always want to see what projects they are working on at the same time. So now let's move on to your finance. We have the invoice, the purchase orders. We also have a bunch of cost tracking things. So now you want to request, you want to track your, sometimes you already may be tracking your finances in QuickBooks, but you can also link your QuickBooks to Monday.com and track all of your invoice directly from the Monday.com. So you're going to track your tax rate, your due date, the amounts you want to track the amount plus the task. So you're going to link it to their respective invoices. So if you've sent out an invoice, you are able to track it directly from this section. So for purchase orders, so for purchase orders, so we have purchase orders. You want to track the purchase orders that you've issued. You want to track the purchase orders that has been invoiced. You want to track the purchase orders that have been paid for. We have like the amount, the value of the purchase order, the invoiced amount, the variance. So this is like a formula that just shows you the difference between the invoiced amount and the value. So you're able to find out what the variance is. And as a construction company, I know you get to deal with subcontractors on a day-to-day basis. So you want to be able to track different subcontractors that you work with. So you have things like the dates that they started, the ending dates. Are you onboarding the subcontractors still? So you have different notes, what they are doing for you, start dates. Then this is linked to the subcontract types of subcontractor, like is he an electrical subcontractor, is he HVAC, is it plumbing? So you want to have all of that track. Then for insurance, just for liability's sake, you want to be able to track your insurance. Are they active or are they inactive? Then you want to track all of that in here. Then subcontractor bids. So as you receive your subcontractor bid, we have to look at the bid value, the types of bid. You can also have different ID. This is also linked to the individual subcontractor directly here. Then for the suppliers that you work with, you want to understand where they fall. Are they materials? That way you don't really have to go somewhere else to find out information about the subcontractors. You already have all of that in one space. So anybody who comes to join your team can really see at a glance where all the information listed for subcontractors are there. So you know their payment terms, their emails, how much that particular item is going to go for. As you can see, you can expand this item and add additional information to these subcontractors right here. So all of that initial, as you're onboarding them, you want to do an initial assessment, documentation, submission. You want to have all this information in one place, so you're able to still track costs, what purchase order is this linked to. You want to have all of this information in one place. Then for your cost tracking, so you want to know things. If you're buying things from the suppliers, you want to know exactly what you're getting and how much this things would cost you. So for instance, you can see that this is linked to, say, rental equipment is linked to a specific supplier. Then you're asking what category does this cost belong to. This is an equipment, this is the cost amount, this is type of resources, you have the resource type. So you really can expand what you can do on this monday.com workspace. So depending on how you want to structure your construction management system, but this gives you an easy to use workspace or PM tool that helps you really manage everything. And there's several automation that you can work with. For instance, you can have a situation where when you can automate this. I created an automation here where when a bid is won, it goes directly to project. When the subcontractor bid is won, it goes directly to the purchase order. So there are multiple different scenarios and case study for how you can essentially transform your spreadsheets into an organized monday.com workspace. So if you're looking for someone to help you do this, I'll be happy to meet and go over what your current needs are and what you track in your monday.com.